Favor, away!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, TF2 players and other simple animals. Welcome to Critscast. We're watching the Season 10 Grand Finals of Respawn's Australia and New Zealand Highlander League. Joining me is Wiethoofd on production and Dave on the mic as well. Say hello, man.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, well, very good, thank you. I'm doing pretty well. How have you been?
Pretty good. It's a little bit early in the morning for me coming in from Europe, but I know you guys are just getting right into your evening now.
Yeah, even worse for me because I'm in New Zealand, so it's 11 o'clock at the moment, and we're sitting in for a marathon Highlander game. All three best of three picks, products banned, Koths banned, which is good to see. The two teams fighting tonight are going to be Musos and Immaculate Dub. Both teams that have been pretty dominant this season so far. I believe the only other team any of these guys have actually lost a map to is Rascals, who was soundly beaten in the other finals games. So, looking to be a pretty closely matched one, especially since the last time these two teams fought, they actually tied.
Yeah, it certainly could be. I mean, on paper, probably Immaculate Dub are the team who are the favourites just because they have so many of that Penner's Trinkets alumni. They have so many of the previous champions. So, on paper at least, you'd expect them to be favourites here tonight. But I will say, having watched the semi-final game between Musos and Rascals, Musos were pretty damn dominant in that game, particularly that second map where they took a clean 3-0 on Warm Tick, I believe it was. So both these teams obviously beat Rascals in the playoffs, but particularly with how impressive Musos were in those semi-finals, if they can repeat that kind of performance, we could be in for a really, really good game.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, especially because the Musos actually managed to beat Immaculate Dub in the regular season on the Vigil, which is a payload map. The map that they lost was on Product, which is, of course, a Koth map, and all the Koth maps have been banned tonight. So, looking like a little bit of a more perhaps favourable to Musos. I definitely wouldn't say to put all your channel points on one of these teams over the other one. Mainly, especially, Musos is rated slightly worse than Immaculate Dub because of their loss to Rascals in the regular season. But of course, like you said, they cleaned them up pretty handedly in the finals, so it's going to look a lot better for there. You want to take us through the Musos roster, actually?
Yeah, for sure. So starting off, we've got Scout will be Lev, Soldier, Lizard, Wizard, Pyro, Omni, Lay on Demo, Typo on Heavy, Engineer will be Spurkle, Medic JD, Sniper Kowski, and Spy will be Zach.
Meanwhile, on the other side, if I can actually find the roster, because no one ever, sits in their proper classes pre-game. For Immaculate Dub, we have Sheep on Scout, Rohan on Soldier, Liquid Alchemy on Pyro, Raze on Demo Man, Nerf on Heavy, Shy on Engineer, Shaky on Medic, Maz on Sniper, and Andy Roo playing the Spy. Of course, I mean, familiar names there to anyone who's been watching any of the other Grand Finals casts for this league on Critscast. Definitely, Andy Roo has been a mainstay on the camera, getting all sorts of very nasty stabs and ruining the hopes of anyone who tries to beat a team he's on. So, definitely something to look out for on their side. But I mean, Zach is no slouch either on the Musos side.
Yeah, certainly Zach put in a pretty damn impressive performance on the Warm Tick last time round on the semi-final. Him combining with Kowski on that map was the big reason just those pick classes were completely going off. And then you had Omni as well on that first map of Upward. Omni just kind of dominated, solo carrying a lot of the defences, doing an awful lot of work. Pyro not often a class that can really carry, but Omni put in a mercurial performance. But yeah, on the side of Immaculate Dub, I think the key thing could be that their flank looks a little bit more coordinated. For Musos, I saw a lot of kind of big solo players coming in, but Immaculate Dub, particularly Rohan and the Spy Andy Roo, that Soldier Spy combo it's really impressive how well they're coordinated, whether it's out and out comms or just a very kind of natural synergy of people who are used to playing together have. Certainly that could be a big thing, although again slightly neutered perhaps by the fact we're playing triple payload, so the flank players of them and Sheep as well are, as I say, neutered maybe just a little bit compared to a Koth map.
Yeah, definitely expected at least one of these teams to try more on the Koth angle. But if I had to sway on one team or the other being more of the Highlander-focused team, because I definitely know there's a lot of Sixers players scattered through here, I would say Immaculate Dub is sort of the more experienced Highlander team, I'd say. I mean, doesn't mean you have any lack of experience on the side of Musos, but yeah, generally we got a lot of super experienced, long-time players on the side of Immaculate Dub. I mean, Maz's been playing Sniper since the dawn of time, and he is ridiculously good. I mean, he's going to do a lot. Kalski has been playing Sniper for quite a while, but he's known more as a Sixers scout than really known for his Sniper play. And yeah, sort of some of the other players like Lev and Lizard, they're going to be making up a lot of the Musos flank, and they're definitely more known for what they've done in Sixers rather than on the other side, sort of seeing Rohan and Sheep, who are going to be, again, sort of leaning on the Highlander angle.
Yeah, and we're going to look at what maps we're playing tonight. Looks like we're starting off on Borneo here. We'll then later be moving into Swiftwater. And then if it goes to a decider, if they trade maps each in the first two, we will be going to Steel. So as we talked about kind of the Koth maps being banned out, do you think it was just a case of they didn't want to? I think certainly Musos probably didn't want to play Koth against this sort of impressive flank from Dub. But do you think Dub just really, really fancied themselves on one of these payload maps?
I think that the very first ban that came through was Warm Tick, which I'm very not surprised of. Warm Tick is an infamously unpopular map in this league, so really not surprised to see that first one banned. Apart from that, there's Product and Asheville, both of which banned by Musos. So a bit surprising. I expected Musos to kind of want to play the Koth maps more, but seems like they were happy just sticking for the payload. And the decider map being Steel is, of course, the interesting one to note because that's your really hard Highlander knowledge check, if you will, that not a lot of teams have really put that time in practicing. But I have a feeling that Immaculate Dub wouldn't have picked that map if they weren't relatively confident and doing pretty well on them. I mean, I know that there are a lot of these players have played it quite a lot, will know their way around it pretty decently. So maybe they're hoping to sort of catch out some of the more inexperienced players on Musos with that.
We've got maps that either team can certainly win on just off a single kind of big play.
Yeah, definitely. And especially, well, it looks like both teams are ready now. We're going into it in a minute after the setup going. This is really a map in the setup where you start doing a lot more funky things, I mean, Borneo and Swiftwater as well, to a large extent, are ones that haven't exactly been cracked in this region so far. And depending on the team, you tend to see a wide variety of kind of defensive angles here. Most of the time, you'll see teams holding around the sort of hut on the right side, but whether or not the sentry's put, over there on the left side is going to be something to see, and that's going to hinder or help depending on what the sack wave from Immaculate Dub will be.
Yeah, interesting to see this kind of more. Looks like they're opting more for this kind of forward hold. It's something that we have seen in the past in the other regions, off and on. I'm not a huge fan of it simply because it's quite easy to get the medic force out from the blue point of view, and also, if you do get caught in a bad position on red here, the Ubers do come out and the blue side ends up running up the tracks. You are in a very, very difficult spot to get yourselves out of there.
It's one of those maps where the sentry does a lot of work, the bombers does a lot of work, and the snipers do a lot of work, but the doors are open now. Looks like Immaculate Dub is kind of doing a little bit of prep work for this sack. Got the heavy on the cart as usual, trying to spam out the gun with the soldier, does do it successfully. That's going to clear the way for the sacks coming in, but a lot of frags coming out from Musos. It's 3 down. Man's launched in, picks up the sniper, doing a lot of damage into the combo. That's actually, medic still hasn't been forced, still a lot of damage into the defenders, but Musos have held on to it, held on to their medic, still have the heavy and pyro up, so they're still relatively defended, but that cart is inching forwards with the engineer and the scout pressure.
Yeah, they have the medic still up with the Uber, but they've lost their demo man, sniper, and ninja, the 3 probably worst classes other than your medic to lose in this defensive role. And we're seeing here Dub immediately coming Musos immediately coming through the left side, getting the trade out. It's going to be mostly onto Liquid, pushing the Uber back, so we're looking at kind of a repush coming in. The combo's actually right back in. Soldier comes in from Rohan, gets a decent amount of damage down, but no frag for it. JD going very, very low, will probably pick up a sandwich now. So we've actually seen Musos got themselves all the way back to a more kind of passive, standard kind of first hold, and we're going to continue the fight from there.
That's kind of typically what we expect to see out of a first from this map. Of course, pretty good effort from Musos to crack that hold. I think I got him swift around. But now we see the just sort of a pullback here, sort of soft holding this thing while they pull back to the barn, I think, corn, whatever they call it. Keep having different names for it. But the sentry gun is only level 1, so Jenkins, yeah, that's what they call it over there. Makes sense, saw the name on the side. But the gun is now going up, level 1 only, so a bit of an opportunity for some quick cart pressure and some quick combo pressure to come through from Musos if they so decide to do it. But I mean, both teams have Uber, relatively entrenched, so this one's another typically decently long one before third.
Yeah, they're going to take it immediately down the tracks. The bomb comes in, gets the force out. Pyro's actually launched it into the sentry gun with the Uber, continues to go forward, actually gets the force out. So many gamers down here for Dub, they're going to have to desperately Uber onto the cart, but the spread from Musos is super impressive. They've split completely. NG goes down as well, Kowski picking up a 3k with the exit in NG, so a big frag there. Second is going to be almost impossible to hold, just a couple of spam pipes coming out long range from Raze. He's going to try and contest it, gets a nice little pipe onto Spurkle, but it's not going to stop the cart being slowly trickled in.
Really lucky for JD to escape with his life there. He got really low, but he's going to actually manage to retain the Uber to keep this push going. Pretty decent momentum coming out of them so far. Actually, pretty good time for capping the first 2 points. Fortunately for them, the third point is notoriously tough to crack. Shy hasn't really managed to get a sentry gun out so successfully so far, but that doesn't really matter. Cart has to travel a little bit of a long way, and there's typically time to set something up here. Sparkle being taken out by Maz. Shouldn't blunt the push too much, but Maz gets another. Zat getting shy there is going to completely shut down the sentry being pushed up. Third is now actually really vulnerable to being pushed.
Yeah, they've certainly been having issues getting the sentry gun up, getting themselves in position. The sentry's taking a lot of damage. Shy's gone down a couple of times now. Uber coming up through the right-hand side. They're going to try to control this upper area. Uber's not quite up for shaky yet, up to 100% now. It's going to be a much better Uber from the red side, or much longer at least. They're going to knock them off the high ground, which is pretty crucial to this point, just taking control of the high ground. The only gamer on it at the moment is Shy, who's very weak again, with Lizard Wizard getting a lot of damage down onto the combo. Suddenly a lot of players here have fallen for Dub, and Musos continue to push the cart. The Pyro Liquid has to go down to commit to it, but it means they've completely vacated the upper area until just about now, where the flank and the medic are going to go back up there.
That was a really good push from Musos. Kind of got blunted near the end there. I mean, Liquid and Rohan on card is not something you really want to contest too hard. But of course, the gun still isn't up from Shy. So no Ubers on the table as well. This is going to give Musos a lot of chance to really sort of take some space, get some spam, see what they can do here. A couple of frags coming out. Lizard Wizard going down to Sheep there. It's going to maybe help a push a little bit, but Maz going down as well is going to give a lot of pressure chance. Oh, JD got the spy on him, almost getting taken down. Ole taken down as well. JD so low, gets taken down in the end. That's going to be a really successful defense from Immaculate Dub.
Yeah, the Uber does get popped out, but they lose basically everyone forward. They just got the one guy in behind. That's a nice rocket from Rohan to pick up Lev, who was trying to create a bit of havoc in the backlines with the flank. But at the moment, the hold is looking very strong here for Dub. They've got most of the gamers up that they would have won. They've even got a teleporter that's allowed Shy to get back in the action much quicker, get the level 1 up at least on the high ground. At the moment, we're seeing this third hold on Borneo is a big one, and it's due to how difficult it is for Blue to push this high ground position.
Yeah, I mean, typically you see the sentry gun majorly contributing to that, but even then, even without it being up, they still seem to be holding this decently well. A couple of abortive pushes coming out from Musos here, not really committing too hard. They kind of want to keep their medical alive, keep going for the build, but these sort of slow kind of sacks don't really work too well. Like you said, this upper area is so hard to crack. And this Musos offense, which has looked so dominant so far, I mean, even looked like it was going to roll through third pretty quickly, just has been completely stopped here. And that's the risk with Borneo, is that you get through the first 2 points easy enough, and then you hit the third one, and this is where you spend, the next 10 minutes of your life.
Yeah, they're going to try and take a trade here on Musos. Lay getting a bit of space. He actually picks up Ray, so Ray gets dropped out of the Uber there for the side of Dub. They lost Liquid and Shy as well, so big picks here for Musos. We're going to see the Medic go down as well. A nice fadeaway pipe from Lay. Sheep is on a 10k, running around in the backlights, picking everyone up. JD as well is now up to 11. And so complete chaos coming in. The car is very close. Oh my god. Andy Rue so close to getting the stab onto the demo man, but found by Typo. So on the back of all that chaos, the car will go on to third and now moving on towards last. But yeah, just so many frags coming in. Sheep doing his best to keep his team in this game, but wasn't quite enough to hold third.
Yeah, and that's a little bit disastrous for them. They need to make up a lot more time for the first 2 points they dropped. 6 minutes 30 isn't an awful thing going into last, but last is another point that can take a very long time to get through. Shy already has a level 2 sentry gun up. Maz being taken down by Zach, though, is going to give a bit of a wiggle room for maybe spamming it down. The defense here is looking pretty strong in general, and I mean, there's many times where Borneo goes through first, through second, hangs on third, and then just can't break last. It's a very difficult point to push, but if anyone's going to push it, I mean, Musos has been showing they've got some pretty good offensive power here. No Uber yet from either team, though, so I mean, Musos has a little bit of time to try to get things rolling.
Yeah, we haven't really seen Musos get themselves into an Uber advantage position at pretty much any point in this offense as of yet. We haven't seen them go for traditional sacks. They've been very, very confident just going in for trades, and here is one once more.
Zach sneaking in behind as well for that one, mostly just getting stuffed in this corner for the combo. Ole goes down, which isn't too useful for them. They're still kind of hanging around here, but a lot of frags coming out. Muso's dropping so many different players here. JD is trying to escape with his life, 22% Uber, going to give him not any real advantage over the defenders here. But yeah, overall a pretty unsuccessful push from Musos. They did get the trade out, so just another even Uber situation. But I mean, every single time you throw yourself at a point like that and nothing really happens, you've just essentially lost another 40 seconds while you wait for your Uber again. And each one of those cycles that goes by is just not really working out well for Musos.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because I think Kowski has been doing well when he's had the opportunity to snipe, but you know, when both teams are trading so often, it's kind of difficult for the sniper to do much because he's only seeing Ubered gamers. We've seen Rohan come in with a big bomb, picks up a lay, that's going to allow this heavy to push forward. And now we've seen another bomb from Rohan coming in. Nice jukes from JD, but that is a drop, a beautiful rocket from Rohan to find him up. Clean up eventually, but the damage is done with the medic going down.
Yeah, and that's going to be really disastrous for Musos, because that's just another straight up 40 seconds that they're going to have to sit there and wait before they even have another chance of pushing. And even though, you know, you can look up, see 6 minutes 39 and go, yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, it doesn't show on the clock yet, but it's just inching closer and closer towards longer and longer time. And especially if Immaculate Dub shows any sort of general competence on their own pushing, then this can start to get really brutal, and you're going to start to feel that kind of bite. They're pushing forward anyway, sort of getting a forward angle. They don't want to just let them sit here, but they've actually managed to force on the other side. So Immaculate Dub has come out of their spawn, having used their Uber. I don't know if that was a force or if that was intentional, because they pick up a lot of players, but they get JD, actually. I spoke too soon.
Yeah, I liked the aggression coming out of Musos, but they just waited around a little bit too much in that forward position. You know, you can bait your medic a little bit forward there, knowing that the huge Uber advantage was there for Dub. But once you wait around for 13 seconds plus, it's just giving time for Musos to get, giving time for Dub to get those comps in. Call out that, you know, your medic is in a position, can be fragged with the Uber, and they happily oblige there.
Exactly. I mean, you always got to make sure you're aware of the spacing on this map, even though it can feel really annoying after you've just flubbed a couple pushes. You're waiting so long, and then you're just holding back, not really doing too much, and you just start to feel, oops, Spy's in on the medic, and the demo gets taken down by Kowski. Unlucky for Andy Rue there. It's going to end up in a frag clip, but not really any frags coming out, other frags coming out from sort of the Musos side onto Immaculate Dub. A couple of frags on from Immaculate Dub, though, still just sitting in the stalemate position.
Yeah, there's not too much pressure at the moment from Musos, so you can see there were like 4 or 5 players all committed to spy checking there. Zach is having a hell of a time. You've got that kind of one ammo pack, but now we're seeing actually the Uber coming in from the right hand side. They've had to pop pretty early here on the side of Musos, mostly reflected back, knocked onto the low ground here. Couple of frags though for Musos, so they could get some work going here. Nice reflect coming in, reflected all the damage back from Raze. Suddenly the pressure cooker has started. They've got space to lay up in the right side. Big bomb in from Rohan towards the medic JD, who will go down, and it seems the heavy nerf and the flank coming in the backlines have cleaned up most of the fronts that they want here for immaculate dub.
Yeah, I mean, immaculate dub looked a bit shaky on the first 2 points, and even at the start of the third point, they've really gotten their groove sort of back in track, and they're holding this one for a long time at this stage. It's looking a bit second getting the stab though. Not really going to give them too much of an opportunity, probably. But yeah, at the moment, it's actually looking like Musos is going to have to really pick things up if they even plan to get through full stop. JD going down to the Maz snipe. Oh no.
That was a quick fire shot there. Just unfortunate that just as the medic was peeking, Maz puts himself in that perfect position, peeks around the corner, gets the medic, and now, you know, it's all falling apart once more. We're into a kind of banging your head against the wall position here, where they're just trying to pressure and pressure and pressure, and nothing is happening. I'd like to see, you know, I think the big thing they need to attempt here is they know there's 100% up for Shaky. They know JD's nowhere near Uber, so I want to see a more kind of committed sack wave where, you know, 6 or 7 players all go in, get JD out with a pyro, an NG, a scout, whatever. Just make sure you get that Uber out and get yourselves some kind of advantage, because they haven't had Uber advantage once.
Yeah, it's not really looking like they're getting... I mean, this is kind of what I expect from Musos, but it doesn't really look like they're adapting too well to these situations being thrown at them, because they haven't had that Uber advantage once, like you said. I say that, they go in, Kalski finally getting his opportunity, like you said, taking down Shaky. So that's the big opportunity for them now. 75% for JD. That's their big time to get their big Uber advantage and push it through. No sentry gun, no Uber, mini sentry on the side of Shy. So Uber rapidly climbing up, and this is your chance for Musos to finally get the card over.
Yeah, 96% for JD. They've actually allowed the spawners to come here from Dub, but it means they have bought time for their Uber to come in. It's not the greatest Uber in the world. Lay and left, trying to go forward, take it in towards the spawn, but Nerf is there. He's going to melt people down from the high ground position up to a 5k win spawn. He's got so many frags on this defense, and just that slight delay coming out from Musos again ends tragically. Rohan picking up a big 2k as well. He continues to launch himself forward. We'll only get Lizard and Kelsey going down as well. But yeah, Musos did everything perfectly there for a couple of minutes, but then just flubbed it right at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they were more worried about protecting their Uber rather than setting themselves up in a good position to use their Uber. So they were sort of too far in to safely use their Uber properly, but not far enough in to prevent these spawners coming out and putting a lot of pressure on them. So just not too much adaptation coming out of them. This is typically some of the stuff you see from maybe teams that haven't played it together as much in a Highlander scenario like these guys. So something they have the player talent for sure, but just not quite the coordination to get exactly what they want out of these situations. And in these high pressure situations, you need to be able to not sort of commit the same blunders, go in the same cycles, but put your mind towards getting exactly what you want and executing a game plan.
Yeah, I think the pressure of Grand Finals is also another big thing where, you know, it means it's like miscommunications. Players wanted to take it as fast as they can, other players not so much. Seeing an Uber trade once more, actually long range stickies was able to get the Uber out Shaky there. But they won't be too concerned, it's only going to be a very, very slight advantage from JD. But there is pressure, there's a lot of time on the cart, there's no sentry gun up at the moment, and we actually have a pause. The red combo out of the defense of the cart, just move them over, it's either the left or the right side. It allows a lot more space. And you know, any sap on the gun, or it looks like Little Wiz is actually using the cow mangler to try and disable the gun. Obviously, it's just a mini sentry at the moment, so not too much value in disabling that. Team Pro had again with a big bomb in. Nice serve from JD, but he finds the nice little rocket as he lands, and JD is going to go down, as well as a lot of the gamers here for Musos as we do go into the hill pause. So, as you say, I think just under a minute left here for Musos to try and finally break this last hold.
Yeah, so like I said, this will be the last fight here. Sentry Gun's coming back up from Shy, level 3, level 1 at the moment. One of the things with this map is, of course, even if you do manage to get the card over, you're now having to defend, and that's a really long time. But it looks like finally all of Musos is gathered around this right side. They are taking the low ground, but it can lead to a more direct way into the fight. A lot of frags coming out from there. They've got the soldier, they've got the pyro, they've got the scout, they've got the sniper. Uber has come out, however, for Immaculate Dub to hold off this push, being baited pretty well from the side of Musos. And now they're in. Heavy's gone down as well. This car's going to start inching ever closer, and you do get overtime from it, and sure enough, 2 players on it, only one demo man being taken down as well. Pyro's in it, and the cart goes over the edge, and that's going to be a final last cap for Musos in, I don't actually know how much time because my HUD's broken from the pause. 16 minutes 46. Thank you, Eye in the Sky. Okay. Oh, no. 16:46. There we go.
Yeah, classic little pump push coming in there, last gasp, all against them really. Just got a couple of flags before the Uber. Again, we saw kind of Nerf doing so much work on the defensive side, the heavy for Dub, but when you're trying to take a defensive heavy Uber into the enemy team, it's very, very easy for them to scatter. And despite, I think there was an unfortunate arrow missed on Omni there, but they just scattered well enough. They ended up, the heavy committed himself to the low ground, and then there weren't enough defenders there to hold the high ground for the side of Dub, so Musos were able to push it in, get the desperate last gasp attempt, and it means we're now in a point where it's basically the same kind of thing, but at least there isn't the threat of the fast third cap.
Yeah, we see a relatively similar setup from the side of Musos as Immaculate Dub, but 60 minutes 46, that's a tough time to hold. A really tough time. Probably going to see just another same set. So the traps go off, taken down Shy and the teleporter. Unfortunate. But now finally Heavy's demo man, has come in. Not really getting too much done, being taken out, no force on JD, so still a pretty well held defense. Lizard Wizard going down, however, to Rohan. And that's the sack wave out of Immaculate Dub. Still a pretty solid defense, more successfully from Musos definitely than Immaculate Dub did on the first point.
Oh, Rowan actually hit JD with a really long range rocket from the direct hit. Did a ton of damage down onto JD, but there wasn't quite anyone up to follow it up. They've given up so much space in this house area on the left that they're able to just pick people off, at least some damage down with the direct hit, potentially get their sniper into position there as well. We're seeing here Musos are running back to a more kind of standard hold around the shack, and Dub are being able to push themselves through main and get themselves super aggressive here.
Sparkle has managed to pull out a sentry gun as well, so they're going to have a little bit of better time here. Direct hit is doing a lot of damage to it though. I'm not too sure Sparkle's got the metal to rescue Ranger it out of there. Sure enough, does get taken down. Just going to allow the cut to go a little bit easier forwards. Nerf being taken down by Kalski. Kalski being taken down by Maz, however. So not an awful situation for the pushing team at the moment. Lizard Wizard going down. Andy Roo being taken down by JD. He's winning on the medic frag so far. But it's a really long time actually to try to get this cart over this point. Really successful hold for Musos so far on this forward area. Is just taken down just even more time from this push. It does look like they've got the cart over eventually though, which is going to need a fall back to Jenkins.
Yeah, both teams were pretty weak pretty much across the board. I don't think at one point there wasn't a single buff player on the map, so it's really a war of attrition there. Just getting themselves in position, spamming each other out, and at the end of the day it was Dub were able to just get enough spam down that was allowed Sheep to push the cart in. But yeah, Musos won't be too frightened by that. They've got a decent amount of time off that first gap. They've kept all their gamers alive, and it means they're set up for this Jenkins hold, which is, it can be a very, very difficult one to break.
For sure. Maybe not as hard as third or fourth, but I mean every point on this map kind of has something going for it. The Immaculate Dub does look like they're getting ready to push though. They have their Uber, they've got their players on the right, and they do use on the cart area actually, because this hold has been pulled back out of Jenkins. The Uber's still in there though, does get traded out. A bit better for the side of Musos, does allow them to sort of rotate their team out of that Jenkins area while retaining the pressure on the cart. So the spy coming through, getting, is that just one stab onto Raze? So a few frags going to prevent Immaculate Dub from pushing this any further, sort of giving Musos another chance to get through, but JD being taken out by Maz, that's going to cripple the hold for sure.
Yeah, it's unfortunate there. They dropped Slay in the Uber. It meant you could see that Musos, they weren't sure whether they wanted to commit to Jenkins with no demo man or wanted to cross, but you know, you're always caught in that awful position. If once you've lost the Jenkins area, it's really difficult to cross with that sniper in main, and JG just put himself in the sideline a little bit too long with the uncertainty. And Maz Oblige picked up that big frag onto the medic, and now it means they've built themselves up. Shaky's already up to 80%. Seems to be lagging slightly actually, but is going to have a big Uber advantage to use onto this third point.
Yeah, and there's no sentry gun coming up so far. Sprockle's been pretty good at setting something up somewhere, but they just haven't been able to hold in this barn area, or what is it, barn area? This third point, never know what to call it. And they've actually had to just pull completely out of that and leave that as a free cap for Immaculate Dub. Zach being taken down, no hope to kill the medic there, which means this push is just rolling forwards inevitably and just shoving Musos onto last without any sort of extra time being taken off out of that really solid third point.
Yeah, we didn't even really see a kind of sack attempt or even a 3.5 kind of hold that you might see just behind the cap point on here. So while they have bought themselves some time, they've got the 100% Uber up. It means they're now going all into this last one. Got to hold on to it for 12 minutes here. And immediately we're seeing Rohan going in for something, and he gets the drop. That's a beautiful little bomb. He's continued to work his magic. They now just need to get Shaky out of there with 100%. He has a couple of gamers around him that will protect him. But again, Rohan comes in with a big play. Now it's going to be a big Uber advantage once more for Dub.
Yeah, and I'm in. Yeah, this is your final chance for sort of Immaculate Dub to really show their dominance on this map. Musos so far looked off pretty strong on the first map, didn't look too bad, first point, didn't look too bad going into the second point. Now third point, Uber has come out from Immaculate Dub, and there's a lot of frags already. Nerf and the Pyro already dead, Sniper already dead, Cart is slowly rolling forward with the Scout on it. The banner did come out on the defense side, and that looked to hold off the Uber decently well actually. They kited it pretty effectively. Immaculate Dub has regrouped outside, however, and just looks like they're going to wait for Uber again before pushing in.
Yeah, that was kind of a disaster push with the Uber advantage. They just lost everyone, and Lizard Wizards had held on to that battalion's backup, I think all the way back from second he built it up on. So doing a great job there for his team, just not popping the banner when they didn't need it, making sure he had it ready for the fight that they required, the defense they needed, and came in clutch. But now we're seeing Lay go down at a nice snipe from Maz. Gets a lot of space out here, and it gets the force out as well. They're trying to charge desperately forward, Omni and Lev, but while they're charging forward into the enemy combo, the flank of Dub pushes the cart in. Too much distraction coming in, as we talked about, and yeah, Dub take this first round of this Borneo map.
Yeah, that was definitely a very dominant showing from Immaculate Dub there. I feel like what really came through was not so much the individual skill of the players there, because both teams had some pretty standout players doing some pretty amazing stuff, but I feel like you could really feel sort of the Immaculate Dub experience, and Musos just didn't seem to have the right game plan for certain situations. Like you pointed out, when they were pulling out a second, and having to hold outside a third, they didn't really have four delaying players. They kind of held in just too long, letting them get picked up pretty badly. And so even though Immaculate Dub sort of flubbed the next push, it was a big opportunity for them to get through. And that's an opportunity that Musos really didn't need to give them.
The last the one time they attempted it, it actually worked. And off the back of it, they not only forced Shaky out, but they got Kowski got a frag onto at the end of the Uber as well, so that's perhaps something that they would look to move into.
To my eternal depression, I just remembered that, of course, it's best of 3, in case anyone is playing this region and is a bit unaware. They've changed all payload maps to be best of 3, so we got another couple of rounds at least on Borneo to see. Yeah, so far I think you nailed it for what they sort of need to sort of start shifting here. Does look like for at least the first hold they're likely to do something similar, as really for the defense, Musos kind of had to pick up more of the third and fourth point and kind of the back end of the second point rather than their first hold, which does seem a bit more successful than their other ones.
I mean, what will happen is, the fact that it's a best of 3, it means you get not only a second bite of the cherry on the losing team, but potentially also, different situations come up if they don't get a clean out of, if they get clear out of second, for example, then they can actually do a third hold, and it might be that the Musos third hold is super, super strong and can't be broken, but they just didn't get an opportunity in that first time. So we'll have to see. Andy Rue immediately onto the medic and gets the drop onto JD.
What a start for this round. That's just gone absolutely disastrously for Musos. They did manage to kill the second players, but I mean, without a medic, you're just counting the time before you have to abandon this first point. Does look like they're already trying to pull out of there. Sentry goes down as well, so Sparkle can't even pull that back. Should get some time to rebuild though, especially because the cart hasn't been pushed forward too quickly, as Immaculate didn't want to overextend.
Yeah, no, they're continuing to move forward. They've got the couple of picks that they need here on the Musos, on the dub side of things. Actually knocking them pretty much out of first and getting through this barn area on the right hand side immediately. They're going to take the gun as well, which isn't great. Kowski, the sniper, going down as once more. Continuing to move forward here. Rohan picks up Lizard Wizard once more. He's going down again, and they're continuing to push forward. Not even an attempt at a Jenkins hold with those 3 B classes down, the soldier, the engineer and the sniper, not wanting to hold second whatsoever here for Musos.
And Shaky hasn't even had to use yet. This has been a really dominant push. I mean, Musos needed to really get their priorities straight, know that they shouldn't have sort of soft-held that first, pull back to Jenkins, set up the hold there, and prepare for the Uber disadvantage. Instead, now that at least they've gotten to third, which they didn't manage to do last time, only level 1 sentry gun, but they have the Uber to defend with, should stop Immaculate Dub from just rolling completely through them. Isn't going to stop them from trying though. The Uber does come out, the Dem Man at the top area. Uber has come out as well on the defender's side. Musos popping in return. Doesn't really get too much on either side. Looks like it's going to be a successful escape for Shaky. Ray's still up here trying to do his damage with the pyro. Don't even manage to get the sentry gun down. JD getting stabbed.
Oh, desperate plays coming out. Zach finding the frags onto the combo at the tail end of it. It was such a great play there from Dub, just coming in, getting the Uber train out, and the beautiful little pincer move with the spy coming in from the backlines as Ray's pushed in from the top as well. Pincer them completely, got the frags onto the combo, completely dislodged them now. It seems very close, but a big frag coming in from left to block the cart. They haven't got the position though. The combo from Dub comes back in through the third area, locking them out, and it's going to allow Rohan to just touch the cart and cap it over onto third, which gets them those all-important forward spawns.
Dear God, 2 minutes and 43 seconds for the first 3 points is an absolutely ridiculous time so far. Of course, everything could change on this last point. The Musos really need to step their game up. Going to be an even Uber situation, so they do have time to get their hold in, established and properly up there. The stab coming through onto Omni is going to make that so much harder. There's no pyro, now no gun, that's been taken down by Stab. Dem Man so low, getting taken down as well. And Immaculate Dub is just walking all over them so far. Even getting some cart pressure. So far, Lev trying his hardest to hold them off, doesn't really manage to do that, and there we go, full team wipe, and the cart pushed over. 4 points in 3 minutes and 24 seconds. I don't think I've ever seen such a dominant round on Borneo.
My God, that is a Borneo speed run if ever I've seen one. That's about as fast as you can do it, pretty much end to end. 3x on cart, just a brief moment where it stopped just before that third cap, but other than that, just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. Just such impressive transition and momentum from Dub. Often just off a couple of picks, they just kept moving, kept getting frags, catching the players out as they were trying to leave from point to point to point. and just able to snowball it just off a couple of frags here and there, just keep it moving all the time, keep the pressure up. And, it meant that you saw at times Musos was super scared. They were frightened to even set up on second, and then they got themselves onto third, but immediately they were crushed there once more. So just complete dominance so far from Immaculate Dub.
This constant forward pressure from Immaculate Dub could be really rough for them if Musos does sort of get and figure out what they're doing and shut down. But I mean, now Immaculate Dub's on the defense, and given how dominant that round is, Musos really need to pull out something spectacular here to even get to the third part of the best of three. And looks like a similar hold, different sentry spot, and no sacks quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, oh my god, sniping Lizard Wizard out the air headshot is absolutely nasty. We're going to see Zach pick Maz up, so no sniper here for the defense, but the timer is already against them. They don't even really have time to go for sacks, if I do have to say so. Olay going in for something, but getting absolutely nowhere near anything of consequence, getting picked up as well. Carter's been moved decently here, but not too much pressure down, just picking up the sentry gun with a long range, actually a sniper it was from Kowski, picking up the sentry gun after the soldier did a lot of damage to it. But at the moment we're seeing Musos Dub here they actually are having to hide a little bit here. Kowski just picking people off one by one, but the time is very, very much against Musos.
Yeah, I mean, 2 minutes and 20 seconds to get through this entire map isn't looking the best. They do the best shot of it though. My god, that's a lot of frags coming through from the Musos push. That gives them free reign to push this card up as far as they want, as long as they get this forward pressure on the combo. They're still holding so much around this card. They need to get forward really quickly here and manage to establish hold on the second point. But these just remaining players from Immaculate Dub are just taking up so much time and so much space. And at this stage, it looks like Immaculate Dub is going to manage to successfully hold off a second hold despite almost being wiped. And that's something that Musos just can't afford to happen right now because they have less than 2 minutes to get through the whole rest of the map.
That was crazy. They got so many frags just off the WM1 Uber coming in from the Pyro of Omni, but it wasn't enough because Rowan just came in with a clutch play, jumps around, gets the medic as he was distracted as the Uber came off, and then keeps himself alive, picks up the demo man off the tail end of it now. We see actually a hard hold going into the Jenkins area, and they only have to get just over a minute left now. The gun will go down, but Demo Man launched in the air actually, but will find the frag on Dagowski there raised. The Uber comes out just 3 up for the side of the offense of Musos, and it is all crumbling with just a minute left.
One of those 3 wasn't even the medic. I mean, if you have to hold, wait and get your Uber charge, by the time they get their Uber charge, they've already lost the game at this point. There's, 50 seconds left on the clock, and they're not even super ready for a push. They've got the scout on it already. They've got some frags coming through as well. This is a chance to get it holding a little bit forward. Lev definitely getting a lot of time forward on this card. Now Ray's coming in to block him, and Lev just gets absolutely deleted on card. This is looking disastrous for Musos, and with 30 seconds left, I don't even know if it's possible at this point.
Yeah, I think it's very much garbage time now, as we would say, but they want to keep pushing here on Musos. They did a good job of trying to take the shortcut, just left getting in behind and capping while all the combo was distracted in Jenkins. But, with just 10 seconds left, will they get the second cap for the logs? Doesn't look like it. Rowan's actually going to take the Uber forward. Gets cleaned up eventually, Shaky going down as well, but taunts are out, and Dub have been absolutely dominant on this Borneo map.
Yeah, I mean, that's tragic for Musos. They didn't really... They started decently strong on their first round. They cracked the first 2 points quite efficiently. And even the third point, they didn't take too long to get through it. 6 minutes 39, not an awful time. But yeah, that last point really stuck them in the hole. And then after that dominant push from Immaculate Dub, I mean, especially in that situation, you just have to feel so demoralized. But hey, it's going to reset, going to be another map. But before then, we do actually have the logs for that as well. Combined logs. My favorite kind of logs.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull it up now. And the first thing that's standing out to me is Nerf the Heavy, coming in with top frags, but also Just 39 to 13, just such a great KD as well. We saw how much work he was doing, particularly on that long last hold. Just getting frag after frag after frag, racking up kill streaks. But they just couldn't remove him at all. But I think certainly my MVP, Rohan, was just coming in with big play after big play, offense, defense, every which way. Just such a huge performance every time they needed. Every time it looks like Musos had wrangled themselves some kind of advantage, some kind of position, Rohan just came in and snuffed it out from them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that pre-game I didn't actually mention. So Rohan is quite often the MVP of these matches. I mean, used to be called Butters. Now Rohan has changed as a player, and he's been absolutely dominant in Highlander so far. So many times, what you've mentioned him doing in this game, he's doing that all the time. And yeah, I think last grand finals I might have said him as MVP as well, something like that. I mean, he always does so much work for his team. Nerf, can't believe I didn't mention him. He pulls the stuff every single game he plays, I swear. The man is a prodigy. There's an absolute prodigy in Sixes where he played Scout, being a prodigy in Highlander and Heavy. I mean, the man's just absolutely insane, and it really shows for his team. But overall, even though the individual performance of the Immaculate Dub players has been really, really good, you can see on the logs, Maz 30 frags on Sniper again as well. I mean, overall, I do feel like the coordination of his team and maybe the better experience here has played out pretty decently for them. It feels like they're going into things with a plan. They know what they're doing. They're not wasting time doing anything they don't need to do. And as we saw with the offense, they just knew exactly what to do in every situation to get things through as fast as humanly possible. I mean, on the side of Musos, we've seen not quite managing to coordinate their team as well as possible. They do have a lot of really talented players, and they didn't do too badly on the log side of things either. But again, if anyone's just joining us for the second map, this is the grand finals of Season 10 of the Australia-New Zealand League for Respawn in TF2, and this is Kritzcast, and I'm with Wiethoofd and Dave, and now you're fully caught up to what the story has been so far. And hopefully we're going to see a little bit of a better game out of this one. I do want to see the third. I do want to see Steel. So, come on, Musos. Show us something on Swiftwater at least. Does look like nothing too exciting, though. Just a tunnel hold, as we expect.
Yeah, with Dub taking that first map Borneo so convincingly, it really is all against Musos at the moment. They have to bring it for this second map. They need to win this map. It is a best of 3, so they can lose around here if they have to, but they do have to win this map eventually, and to take it to Steel, to take it to that third decisive map. But yeah, at the moment, all the momentum is certainly with Dub, and Musos have to step it up.
Good thing with this map, it's a good way to kill momentum, is it's just a very lazy push through first without much team actual fighting. Really some space being taken by Immaculate Dub, sort of spamming in the Spy, getting behind. Andrew very dangerous to keep untracked. Still maybe not too much of a chance to do things because there should be a pull out any moment now from Musos, as no one really likes to sit in this tunnel too long. Andrew's been found out, cleaned up by Lev, and now we should just see a sort of reposition towards the upper apartments area for a incoming push for Immaculate Dub.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that we saw similar to Borneo, that we didn't really see anyone on the Musos side commit to any of these. When they have these defenses where they don't want to put up a hard hold, we're not even seeing like a soldier or scout going for a hiding spot or a bomb or any kind of distraction. At the moment, we've just got Zach providing a CCTV camera up on the high ground. It's allowed Lay to pick up a nice little trap kill, and at the moment it's just me fighting all over this one-way shutter area.
Yeah, good trap kill, managed to take out the part pushing presence. Doesn't manage to stop this push through apartments though. Ubers do come out as a trade. Rohan does get picked up. Zach getting picked up on the side of Musos though, and just really a reset here. Nothing too successful so far. I'm sure if I was, I think I was casting, there was a dumb TM and he was talking about the Phlogistonator strats, but nothing that we really see here at the moment. Just sort of standard play out of Musos. Like you said, doesn't really seem that they have any sort of super exciting active defense going. Just kind of seeing what's going to happen, which does give Immaculate Dub the chance to push this cart forward and kind of try to do something a little bit more spicy to try to crack this hold.
Yeah, it seems what they're opting for is just having the heavy and the soldier provide a bit of a distraction from the gate, just trying to spam, peek it now and again, not super committing. It's allowed them to move the cart nicely here, so it's pretty much all the way through tunnel without too much contesting from the flank. Lizard Wizard has built up a decent amount of battalions backup. Maz has picked up the engineer as well, so the gun's going to be threatened as well, and we are going to see they've actually got the Uber out there with a nice little play through the door. So many players weak here on the side of Musos. They're going to have to back up all the way to third, but there's still an Uber advantage with it. They're going to pop out, they're going to chase it all the way in. Sheep going deep, picks up Lizard Wizard, doesn't get too much more. There's a lot of players who are weak, but they don't want to overcommit there with not enough gamers in position for the side of Dub to really chase that into third.
Luckily for Musos, the Uber isn't still being held by Shaky, so they're going to have an Uber advantage here for this defense. Really just going to take a little bit of time though. I don't think they can get anything too aggressive with it. Frags being traded out, Kowski picking up Maz, winning the SVS. Going to end as a pressure for JD being taken down by a pipe by Rays. That is disastrous for this defense. So many of these players have fallen. So many of the players on Immaculate Dub have actually fallen, which is a bit of a saving grace for this defense, but still no pick up on the frag that really mattered, which was Shaky, giving a very large Uber advantage for the pushing team.
Yeah, desperate attempt there from Lizard Wizard coming in, but again it's a solo play. Quite easy for Liquid to protect his medic there, and Shaky's going to survive it, going to retain this Uber. They're going to take it straight in from main. It's on to Raze, it's on to Liquid, not getting too much position off the back of it. Liquid trying to get in behind, but mostly denied here by Omni, who is going to chase forward as well and go down for it. Spurkle Couch can go down as well. Big frags for the offense point of view. Raze Tech going very, very weak on the blue side. But we could have seen Zach come in off the back of that. Pick up Shaky. Lev picks up Shy as well, and Raze to boot. So Lev getting a 6k, almost 7. Rohan going down to Typo in the end. But complete great cleanup there from Lev, but JD did go down at the end to Rohan again, coming in with a big clutch play.
I feel like at the moment Musos is sort of leaning very heavily off their players' abilities. Lev on the 7 kill streak, of course, but that play they made out to try to pick up Shaky before he used, I mean, that killed a lot of people. That's showing like just how dominant these players can be in a deathmatch situation. But so far there's now been a reposition up top, giving some high ground to the pushing team of Immaculate Dub, which might turn out to their advantage, might not. We'll see how the defenders manage to adapt to this one. Hypo himself taking the high ground, but gets taken down by the sniper. That's pretty dominant from Kowski. Sniping back though. So going to give them a little bit more space to get maybe Lizard Wizard into position, or maybe some other players to proper defensive spot. But so far, level 3 sentry gun. Uber is building. Even though Shaky has the Uber advantage, how well are they really going to be able to push this one?
It's going to be difficult. One thing I am seeing from the defense is how vacant they've left this big sort of office room. I don't know what the exact call out is, but yeah, this big room that comes in from the flank. We've got the demo has a kind of stickies, but he's not watching it 24/7. Occasionally Zach is watching it, but we see the Shy run in. There's just so much space all the time. They've actually taken the Uber in from the left hand side. It's going to be a much better Uber coming out from the side of Musos. They get a lot of damage down, a lot of clean up a decent amount of frags, but the collapse coming in by Sheep and Rohan. They pick up JD. Shaky's kept himself alive in the back of it. He's actually walking back in towards the cart. They're gonna take the third point. It took a little bit longer than they would have liked, but again, Shaky's built himself a big Uber advantage here. Actually going forward with Rohan, who continues to be an absolute menace, just jumping in again and again and again, trying to jump himself out, but will get picked up by Lizard Wizard. But at the moment, it's all about whether Shaky can retain the Uber advantage that he's built. It's only a 10% ad. The jump does come in towards him, does juke himself nicely out of there, and it's going to hit a nice little resub. But a good kind of re-push defense coming in from Musos, keeping themselves in this.
And this is definitely sort of the game Musos wants to play. A lot of opportunity, especially on this point, for individual players to do what they do best. We've seen a lot of kill streaks coming out from a lot of their players. Kowski's already on a 7 kill streak, Ole on a 5 kill streak. I mean, this is the game they want to be playing here. It's taken almost 6 minutes to crack third. This is sort of a good situation for Musos here. They're happy sitting on this fourth, picking up the frags they need to for defense, and it's really on immaculate dub to get things going, because even though they have cracked 3 points so far, they have taken a little bit of time to do it, and especially with how long the last point can take to to crack, then this is not really looking as dominant as immaculate dub would want out of given their performance on Borneo.
Yeah, this has been a great turnaround from Musos. They had a 30% disadvantage, but they built it so much better. It ended up only being a 5%. And because Shaky was aware of how badly they built it, they weren't able to push. There was too much pressure, so they weren't able to use that advantage. Uber's now coming in from blue, but they're not going to get any frags before the red Uber comes out. Typo taking the brunt of it, as he did go very weak, but it's allowed Rohan to jump back in, pick up that heavy frag. Now we're seeing how many players are pressured back. There's no defense of the cart at the moment. It's being moved with a times 3, pushing it forward, trickling towards the cap time, and just so much position here from Dub. They've completely locked the Musos side out of it, and they've got a couple of frags, so they want to continue moving this forward. They're into the lobby area. They want to continue pressure on to last before those spawners come up.
Not a bad time for the fourth point, 2 minutes off the clock, any seconds is helpful, and really that's almost one of the best positions that Musos could hope to get out of that one, because they've now pulled back to last. They do have even Ubers. As long as JD can survive the onslaught from Rohan, he does. Kowski picking him up with the sign. That gives their opportunity. Spiracle trying to set up the sentry gun. Oh, God. JD being taken down by Maz there. Forget what I say. This is now looking really good for immaculate dub. The cart is so close. They haven't got Uber yet, but they're going to have Uber advantage, and that's what matters here, because now it's just 40 seconds until they cap.
They're continuing the pressure as well. They're moving the cart while there's no heals up for the red side. Rohan is still in behind, creating absolute havoc. He's actually going to pick up the health back. Leia's done such a great job of this defense, keeping his team in this with just frag after frag after frag, including a crucial one onto Shaky a few minutes ago. But it hasn't been enough, and Demo Man can't defend all the entrances and the cart alone. So the cart will eventually go in, and it's actually quite a longish time with 9 minutes and 3 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty good, definitely from some stages, but 9 minutes is not a bad way to hold this map. Definitely a chance to push this much faster than this, and that's just the effect this map has. So many of the points you can just accumulate so much time on. At the end of the day, you end up with a 9 minute time, you're sitting there going, yeah, you know what, that wasn't too bad. But I mean, on the other hand, while a 9 minute time is something that Musos should definitely feel happy with, on this map there is a lot of potential for much longer times, and if immaculate dub continues doing what we sort of expect them to do, then they could hold this one for a ridiculously long time. I mean, the average I see for a sort of super good hold on this map tends to be something like 12 minutes maybe, if a team really gets stuck on last, which, given how immaculate dub's been playing, is an unlikely opportunity. Or it could be the case that this truly was a map that Musos had prepared more than immaculate dub, and this is finally the sort of change in the winds of fortune for them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is a five-point payload map, which is a little bit out of the realms of the other maps, which are standardly for. We're actually seeing Flog here from Omni, just trying to get some charge down. I don't know whether that's a case of being able to use the Uber phlogistonator through that shutter area at a later date. Just wants to get his charge up, just probably spamming at long range, I imagine, with the detonator to pick up a little bit of charge. But yeah, as we say, with it being a five-point map, there is a potential for longer times, but there is also a lot of throwaway points, particularly this first one, and at times third as well. So if you get a couple of big wins on second and fourth especially, you can transition to what would end up being a very fast time. So 9 minutes is perhaps kind of more in the middle, perhaps just slightly on the slow side.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Omni, does get sniped down there. Was not going to be able to bring the Flog to bear as quick. Is he still running it? It looks like he's spamming to try to build that back up again. Gets sniped again by Maz. Really, Maz just completely shutting down any dreams any of us had of seeing the Flog come through these doors. Just going to look like going to have to be a regular Uber coming out of Musos here for the push. Does look like they do have strats to this map though, so I mean that's good to see at the very least. Especially level 3 sentry gun being set up surprisingly on this left side instead of more up the top where we're used to seeing it. That means it's not going to cover the left side tunnel entrance on this flank, but with Rohan on your team, I mean, maybe you don't really need to worry about that. He tends to hold these things pretty decently by himself. Another couple of frags coming out. Levin Lizard was being taken down. That's the flank, but those aren't the important parts. Omni and Ole definitely are, because that's going to be disastrous for any attempted push. Does look like the Ubers actually came out from both teams there. Didn't go so well, however, because, like I said, 2 combo players getting picked up by a trap is a nasty way for any push to go.
Yeah, they traded in from the gate area, but didn't really get any position. It was nicely defended, nicely positioned by the side of the red defense. While that was happening, they also cleaned up the flank as well. So the car is only just moving through the tunnel area now. They're actually trying to move the combo through the tunnel as well here on the side of Musos. They want to, perhaps get their sniper in a better position, lay in a position where you can bomb from. They do have to risk CJD again and again coming very close to peeking, potentially a sniper slotting. He has crossed now, is super aware of it, so now he's in a safe position. Andy Rue is also lurking. But while this is happening, there's not too much pressure. Oh, we're actually seeing a charge shot coming in, gets a decent amount of damage down into Shaky through the shutter, but he's going to pick up a sandwich. Going to be back to, well, I would say full health, but he's actually quite weak again. But it looks like they can't capitalise off it at the moment. They're trying to take an Uber through May. They get the sentry gun, which was on the opposite flank, but the Ubers come out of the red side. They're all on the high ground, and they're not making the mistake of dropping down to the low ground, just keeping their position, not over chasing frags that they don't need. They just need to keep the position. But with Razor and Sheep going down now, perhaps that's an opening. Typer continues to pressure forward in the apartments, gets the Pyro as well, and the defense is slightly collapsing here for Dub.
Yeah, I mean, not too bad for them though. They've managed to hold on to this one for a decently long time. I mean, that Uber from Tunnel is a questionable choice. You're not really contesting the high ground, just sort of picked up the sentry, but it did buy time for their, spy to get in, get something happening, and sure enough, they've managed to pick it up now. 5 minutes left on the time, so they've got their time to take things slow as they push through these next 2 points, as long as nothing gets super sticky for them. At least it's time to make sure their push is going to work out too nicely. Both their pit classes have gone down, however, for Musos. So Immaculate Dub doesn't really have to worry about anything too unexpected happening. They can just sit here, wait for the Uber, and solidify their hold.
Yeah, we can see Raze is playing a lot more aggressive in the office area than we saw lay the opposing demo man, so it's going to be more difficult for them to move through that. They're actually going to take the Uber straight in through main onto left and lane. They're getting a decent amount of pressure down them, knocks the red combo onto the low ground. Raze wants to chase forward, but there's pressure coming in now from Typo. Gonna take a heavy 1v1, but Nerf is gonna win it again with the addition of that high ground position, a little bit more of a buff as well, I think. So a decent attempt there. They got a couple of frags. Nerf going down at the tail end of that as well. Can't move just a little bit. But we are in a bit of a reset with Shaky
going down to the Pyro on the tail end of that one. It's just going to make it really hard for them to hold this. They do get a lot of frags through, but I mean, all Musos has to do is just consolidate, try to build the Uber a bit faster. But I mean, it's only 14%, and Shaky's already up and building, so maybe not as big of an advantage as they wanted. Maybe not going to allow them to super easily clear this. But I mean, hell, they're still holding a little bit under 4 minutes left. This is the stage where, for sure, Musos does have to start picking things up and make sure their pushes are starting to really count.
Yeah, good sport on Shaky as well, and with this sport actually being so close to the action as well, it meant they were able to get up the heels before Musos were in any kind of position to push. But they've actually just snuck it in, Lev getting himself on the cart, taking it over the line, and we're going to see Shaky go down to Omni as well. Omni just roaming around, picking up frags left, right and centre. Shaky, so many players down here for Dub, and we're going to have to see now Musos. They need to get their feet in gear. They need to move themselves onto fourth before these spawners come in, lock them out, and then we're in for a real game here.
Yeah, I mean, not too bad for them though. They've managed to hold on to this one for a decently long time. I mean, it's only 14%, and Shaky's already up and building, so maybe not as big of an advantage as they wanted. Maybe not going to allow them to super easily clear this. But I mean, Yeah, for sure, and it looks like they're already getting players so far forward. They've taken the other side of this sort of fence area, which is just completely cracked this fourth hold. Going down though, Rohan, saving the day again, completely blunting that push's momentum into last. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to stop them from tapping fourth though, so, a little bit of wiggle room still for both teams. Could go either way, but definitely a sigh of relief from Immaculate Dub for this hold, as they're going to at least have Uber advantage.
Yeah, you can see what we talked about that Musos weren't able to do, have that kind of solo sack play when they were given up a point. Dub absolutely nailed it. Just once more, Rohan coming in with a nuke, picking up the pyro and the medic, equalising that Uber situation. Oh, JT takes a ton of damage from somewhere. I think it was just a sneaky trap there. Gets him pretty low, but he will survive. He's actually 40 health. He's actually got down to 20 health. Just desperate for some kind of thing. There's so much spam coming in through that window area. The medic doesn't want to peek. It means he isn't able to get heals onto the rest of his team. And Andy Rue's in a position to potentially decloak on him as well. JT just having all kinds of issues, taking so much damage, and it's completely blunted the push. And Shaky's been able to build up an Uber as well. Oh!
Oh no! Andy Rue now finally deciding, you know what? I haven't been on camera enough. Everyone's been talking about Rohan too much. Picks up JD. That's disastrous for the push. 1 minute 30 left. That's another 40 seconds until JD gets another Uber. That's going to give these guys only, 30 seconds? A little bit, somewhere around there to get this push through. 30 seconds of wiggle room. That's not a lot of time to crack this fourth point, especially because of how hard this one can be to hold.
Nice little sap onto the gun, but not too much to follow it up. And you can just see the that little hammer coming in from the pyro to knock it off. So the sap isn't going to come through the home wrecker, putting an end to that. No real play off the back of it. They've got some space here, the blue team. Got a lot of pressure down. Shaky, who is once more lagging fields, he has to pop the Uber out. They lose a lot of players here, so a potential repush coming in from Omni. Pressure down on the cart as well. Anti-Rue having to block that, but he is not in position to block Omni, who dives down onto the cart. And out of nowhere, really, Musos turn it around what looked a rough situation. Musos end up taking it and taking this first round of Swiftwater.
And they really need that to get momentum back on their side, to get their mentals in the right place, and to sort of purge the memory of Immaculate Dub's Immaculate Dub on the last map, for sure.
Yeah, I think this probably favours Dub, that it slows down a little bit. They could work out exactly what went wrong with their defence. I mean, it seemed like a lot of their defences were solid, but every time, Omni came in with a big play or just a couple of frags went in the favour of Musos, they were able to really nail those transitions, which we hadn't seen them do at all on Borneo. Did a much better job this map, seemed a lot more comfortable. And, when you're able to go forward off that momentum that you built, knock a couple of points off for free, that makes a huge difference on every payload map, but especially this 5-point payload map.
For sure. Doesn't look like too much of different defense coming out of Immaculate Dub for this one. I mean, so don't change what isn't broken. They did manage to hold on for a decent time on the first 2 points. It was mainly kind of the fourth and last that they had to sort of change up and hold on much longer, but I mean, a lot of this is from certain players getting through and making a lot of plays, so just tightening up their ranks is going to do that for them. And not too much you'd expect to see from them change. I wonder if Omni's still on the Phlogistonator though.
Doesn't look like it at the moment. He seems to be on the stock flamethrower. I think the big thing for Dub is, will they even fancy that third hold? Because obviously when you wipe on the third hold like they did, or nearly wipe as they did, it means they didn't get an opportunity to set up on fourth whatsoever. They did get a sack play out of it, which was nice, but the fourth hold can buy yourself a lot of time. So maybe that will be something they'll be looked at changing from a strategic point of view.
Absolutely. I mean, so far we've just seen a couple of Musos has had a little bit of a rough time pushing this forward, did get their players taken out, a little bit of Immaculate Dub again, keeping those sort of forward plays on this first hold to slow down that push as much as they possibly can. Hasn't, of course, slowed the cart because, you can just sit two people there. Sparkle going down to Maz is going to slow the cart a little bit as he was one of the ones pushing it. shouldn't stop the combo from just setting up. JD going down to Andiru. That's a big drop, and that's going to completely ruin sort of the first push that'll come out of them for this one. A lot more time to set up on second now, especially Shy need that because the sentry gun went down in the tunnel when holding first, and really just a disastrous start to this round for Musos.
Yeah, that's a potential tilter as well. JD going down from the disguise earlier on the previous one, and that time just getting picked up on first. That is a big demoralizer, and you get in the situation. Omni wanted to go in, gets a lot of damage down onto the combo. They actually get the force out there. Great play with Zach coming out of the back of it. A beautiful set play. They get the force out. JD's, despite dropping on that first point, built himself now up to 60%. They've got the fact they have that one-way shutter that the red team can't push through whatsoever. The cart's been moved decently as well. It's all the way to the end of tunnel. So basically, after that drop, everything going right for Musos.
Zach just taking this teleporter, getting a frag every single time. First picks up Maz, now manages to pick up Shy. That's going to leave the sentry gun as everyone. Perfect timing as the Uber has come through for the push. Ole does go down with that though, but a lot of frags coming out onto Immaculate Dub is going to leave a lot of space on this point for pushing through the cart.
And now suddenly everything's going wrong. That Uber just not working whatsoever. Lego too far forward. JD decided that he couldn't commit to the demo man. Ends up flashing his Pyro, who was stuck miles behind. Ended up with a Pyro and a heavy Uber at the tail end of it, not getting any aggression. Lay getting picked up very cleanly as well as he got separated from his team. So really, really desperate stuff coming out from Musos, just not getting anything with that Uber. And maybe it's just a case of reset, rinse, repeat, do the same thing again, because that sack play was so impressive, but they've got to make it happen for a second time here.
Exactly. I mean, now people will probably be watching this teleporter a little bit better. Maybe Zach won't be able to pull off exactly what he wanted to, but now you've got a level 3 sentry on the defender's side. This point is actually harder to crack than the first time they tried to come through, so tighten up the Uber. It's going to be the only way you can actually manage to crack this properly. And it's a lot of frags coming out onto the Musos side from Immaculate Dub. It's going to be a really good position for them to continue holding this, and really they've actually been holding this for quite a while now.
Yeah, they wanted to go through tunnel, but Andy Rue was right on top of it, picking up JD once more. We're into a sort of, is this medic now a buddy for the spy? Again, we're saying tilting kind of position when your medic goes down repeatedly to a spy like this. But at the moment it hasn't stalled them too much. They want to continue moving through. Not too much of a different situation. We're still having 100% for Shaky, although not longer, because he's actually having to pop out. Just so many players flooding through that gate. This time JD is back nice and safe. He's got his demo man to build some Uber around him. Andy Rue's nowhere in sight. He's got cleaned up, so that provides him a nice kind of wall of safety of there's not going to be a spy coming in anytime soon. Actually decided to move through the tunnel. JD for some reason moving through alone. They're building up to 80%. Looks like they're going to try and catch them out by moving through this side tunnel area.
I mean, it worked out well-ish last time for them, even though the Uber didn't really go too successfully. They did manage to crack the push after pushing something kind of unorthodox like this. This again focusing the sentry gun in the Uber. Not really the best way to take this high ground, and sure enough they're being shoved out by the banner being popped out by Rohan. JD does survive it, but a lot of the other players don't, and they didn't even manage to get the Uber out because of course it wasn't even there yet for Shaky. Building back up to 100%, this is looking disastrous.
Yeah, couldn't really have got any worse. The buff banner coming out of Rohan providing clutch support for his team was able to chase in and finish off a couple of big frags onto the combo. That sentry again was in a really difficult position for the demo from the side tunnel to deal with. So whether Shy had moved that in expectation of the side tunnel push, or it's just blind luck, it worked out super well for him. And Lake tried to come in off the tail end of it un-Ubered and just got immediately picked up by that sentry gun. So difficult for that demo to deal with that high ground position.
You see, the rough thing is we see a really good play out of Musos where they get their forward sack, get their sack forward, manage to get the force, and then they have Uber advantage, and then they use it pushing through the side tunnel, which gets completely stuffed. So they managed to build it again, so they got another chance, this time just doing the normal thing, contesting on apartments. They got the Cow Mangler harassing the sentry gun, keeps disabling it. Not quite well-timed with the push at the moment, but it looks like so far Musos just happy sort of sitting there waiting to get their players back. They don't want to push this without their pyro. That'd go disastrously. Kowski picking up the engineer. That's going to be really good for this push, because now they can just pretty easily disable or take up the sentry gun without too much hassle for that side, as long as they actually push pretty quickly. But their flank being taken down is going to, one, stop a lot of cart pressure going through while this push happens, and B, sort of prevent them from holding off the Rohan refight. And yeah, even now, Shy's come back up, and this is when they push.
Yeah, the downside of that Cow Mangler means they weren't able to take out the gun off that engineer pick. Them tried to desperately take a trade in through the gate, but the pyro gets cleaned up at the tail end of it. Not too much happening there. Maz has gone down, so potential opportunity for Kowski to get a little bit more snipes going. But again, Andy Roo finds JD, and that's medic down once more for Blue. Couple of frags in their favour, so they want to commit here, but they don't have the heals to take a long extended fight, and the buff players of Red win that combo fight in the apartments area.
Yeah, I mean, that was maybe an opportunity, because even though sort of JD did go down, we have seen Musos get a lot of frags off situations like that, but not this time. Even though the gun went down, there's not much else they can do, and now there's actually only 1 minute left on the match timer. They could get full held on second if they don't really make something happen here. They need to get proper coordination between their flank and their combo to ensure that both of them are putting pressure on the right places at the right time. That's just not happening for them so far. They haven't been able to disable the gun before pushing. Even when they picked up the engineer, Cow Mangler meant they weren't really able to take up the gun before pushing, and now you've got less than 50 seconds left on the clock, and there's even now a big Uber ad for Shaky. Still no Uber for JD.
Yeah, it's backs against the wall here for Musos. They've seen it happen at times in Borneo. It looked like it was all against them, and they pulled it out from somewhere, but you know, everything very much in immaculate Dub's favour. They've got their Uber ready to go if they need to. Less than 30 seconds left. They've got a sentry gun on the far side. Zach actually picks up Maz, so no sniper once more from the defence. But at the moment, it seems Musos aren't sure where they want to push from. They're taking it through tunnel, but just 10 seconds left. Gonna have a desperate push from somewhere, and then just flood everyone onto the cart and try and move it in.
JD gets
But
taken down by
JD
Andy
once
Roo.
more. Again, just the red Uber coming in. BM Uber just cleaning up everyone on the cart, and it's gonna be a hard hold on second.
Yikes! I mean, that's if it seems like Immaculate Dub just wakes up on the second round. On the second round on Borneo, they showed us a speedrun push, 3 minutes and 20 seconds to get through all 4 points. And now on this one, they give a full hold on second. Now all Immaculate Dub has to do is cap the first point in 56 seconds, which is actually possible to beat, because on the offense, Musos had one of their cart pushing players die, which slowed them down a little bit there. But even if they don't get that, all they need to do is cap second, and they've won that round. Now, luckily for Musos, they won the first round, so they get another crack at it, even if they lose on this one. And even then, it's no discounting them completely. I mean, they could pull a full hold on second, just like Immaculate Dub did, although maybe not as likely.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing there, we don't see it often come into play, but with 56 seconds being kind of on the slower side of the first cap, they didn't have the 3x all the way that ideal. Means they're actually going to have to go for more of a out-and-out first hold here. They're bringing all their players forward, kind of pub hold with the sentry gun forward, because they have to buy themselves a couple more times on that first point. And it's going to make it very, very difficult to transition into second, which again, they have to hold really, really hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first hold we've seen a lot from a lot of teams, especially was more popular back. JD already been forced. That's pretty disastrous for this first hold. They're not going to be able to hold too much longer. The Dem Man down as well. Actually, no, that's the Dem Man from Immaculate Dub down, so that's a good position for their hold to be in. JD, of course, being forced there isn't very ideal for them, because it's going to allow Shaky to come up and clean them up with this Uber if they have to, once the players have respawned. Typically, if you're holding first, it's better to hold a bit further back, because that way you can actually transition out of it while the hold's been on corner. Not really exactly what they've chosen to do here, and JD's been picked up there. Now you're in the disaster situation where, yes, you've held a long time on this first point, only 7 seconds left. They're definitely not going to be able to cap the first in that time, but you still have to full hold second.
Oh, Yeah, and they've lost their demo, their medic, the uber disadvantage, heavy going down super late as well. We're seeing Dub, they're not going too aggressive, they're just locking people out at first. If they wanted to, they could have maybe moved into second off the advantages they had. But Andy Rue picks JD up again. He's having a hell of a time of it.
Oh man, I mean, JD's just having such a rough time. There's already a pause going, so an often overlooked fact of these games. If you're in a situation where you've just had such a rough round, your medic's died a million times, I wouldn't put it past. I mean, I'm not going to mention the names of any rages, but but that's actually games going again, unpaused. Carts rolling forward. Again, my HUD's broken, so I'm not exactly sure who's died on the defender's team, but only a level 1 sentry gun. Chance for a quick push, but no actual presence up in apartments for pushing from immaculate up so far.
Yeah, this time it was Zach doing the job his counterpart has been doing and picking up the medic for his team. Shaky going down. So, actually not a bad position here for the side of Musos. They've got all their players that they want up. They now have the Ubers equalised. Shaky no longer has that 100%. So, perhaps I underestimated based on the fact that it came in straight after that pause, but that was actually a huge play coming in from Zach, equalising the Ubers, and now we're in a potential situation where, yes, they have to hold for 6 minutes, but they've got everything that they would want here on Musos. They just have to do their best.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any chance for them to do it, it'd be now, but looks like we do have another pause coming through, so, just extending the tension, if you will, making us, giving us a little bit of a taste of the action, and then letting us wait to see a little bit more, dragging out this round in a way to retain viewers, I guess.
If Musos do come through, winning either this round or the final round, we will be moving on to a third map of Steel.
Yep, and just a quick hello to everyone who was just watching the Prem Grand Finals for Sixers on Criticast 1, who are now watching this one. The pause has just ended. What a convenient timing for it, as we're seeing Immaculate preparing to see if they can break this Musos hold. Having set up in this apartments area, got a slight Uber advantage, not really going to be too much. Feeding off Andy Roo, going to stop him from completely picking apart this hold. Oh, lovely. Well, looks like you're in the radio cast from now on, since Wiethoofd is having a little bit of technical difficulties. So, luckily, nothing too much going on right at the moment.
Yeah, it seems both teams are stalled slightly by the pauses coming in. You're going to see an Uber coming in from apartments for the side of Dub. They're getting a lot of space here, but perhaps caught in bad position. Ray's having to go all the way down. He's actually going to find a frag onto the sniper, but he's committed so deep. He's going to get cleaned up. Just the one frag onto the sniper to show for it, and that's going to be a soldier demo man down for blue. Spurkle, the engineer, is picked up by a nice stab by Andy Roo as well, and Liquid wants to run in, get a lot of damage down onto JD, but JD will survive, get the sandwich up. So at the moment, Musos just about holding.
Not a bad situation for them to be holding, and they've still got the teleporter. Spurkle can set up another gun pretty easily. JD still has the Uber here, and actually, if my HUD's not completely wrong, then he actually has some Uber advantage. So, good potential time save here for them. Or sorry, time spend here, I guess. Chance for them to wait even more time. 4 minutes 40 seconds isn't as bad as full holding sounds, because of course the timer only really starts to pick up later on once you're on one of the later points. So not too bad of an opportunity for them here.
Yeah, certainly they're doing their best. They've lost their engineer again, which isn't great, but actually just a continued charge through the main area from Dub. They're taking everyone onto the cart. It's so close. They're going to Uber on cart to actually block themselves from capping it, but they have too many players. Eventually the cap does come in, and Immaculate Dub are going to take this second round. It's 1-1 now on Swiftwater.
Right, well, there we go, It's going to be a third round, so a little bit more Swiftwater for everyone today. Immaculate Dub pretty convincingly taking that second round after Musos clutched out that first one. Yeah, here's a secret, because I no longer play the game and I don't mind throwing people under the bus. Get the engineers to spy check. Trust me, it works really well. It's the long hidden secret. But one of the issues with typo going on spy checking is that let's say you shut down Andiru. Now your heavy's distracted while the soldier's bombing in, and when the soldier's Rohan, It's not a really fun thing to do, is it? Although I don't think he's going to end up any worse off in the heavy fights because, to be honest, any heavy fight that involves Nerf is going to go his way. His aim is spectacular, to say the least.
Yeah, but obviously, if your heavy's having to turn around, you're just taking a step back. It allows Nerf a lot more space. I mean, Nerf hasn't been dominating on this map the way we saw on Borneo. But now we are moving into the decisive round in Swiftwater. If Immaculate Dub do take this round, they will be our champions. Musos, if they take it, will be moving into a third map of Steel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd say Nerf's been shown pretty good. I mean, at this stage, I reckon he's probably already got something approaching 30 frags. So, an impressive showing still on this map. But sure enough, there's just so many angles that you have to watch when fighting this team, so many different ways they can come at you, so many different ways they can just demolish everything you have. But so far Musos has been doing a really good job on defense of holding them off as well as possible. It's just their offense that maybe needs a little bit of work on this map. But they're on defense first off. That gives them a little bit more time, more breathing room, especially after the issues that they've just had resettling. So being on defense is really probably the best outcome for Musos right now, to slow things down, get their head back in the game, reset after that last lost round, and ensure they get through to Steel.
For sure, yeah, and it means we'll get to see the tunnel hold. They won't be forced into that desperate first defense that we saw in the previous round. So everyone's just back in tunnel. It's going to be mostly giving up this first one. Bombs coming in, everyone launching themselves in towards the tunnel area. They actually pick up Lay, which is a decent little pick. Won't do too much though. Kowski picking up Raze as well, so a lot of the aggression is out. But at the moment, yeah, no one here for Musos is going to be committed to car. It's going to be pushed all the way with the maximum 3x cap time. It's going to be moving along very, very swiftly, and we're already seeing red here, Musos backing themselves up to the apartments area. Again, everyone in position, and Lay's already back in the action.
Already seeing some swiftness finally out of Swiftwater as that first cap goes through in 40 seconds. Going to be lining up now at the apartments. I wonder if Omni is on the Phlogistinator or not, or if he's just spamming around the detonator. Nope, he's on the regular flamethrower. So the demo man actually got trapped through those doors, forcing Uber to actually come out, forcing maybe an early fight here. No frags coming out yet. Kowski going down actually for Rohan. But so far the hold looking pretty solid for Musos here. Andrew being found as well by Omni. He's being forced to pull back. And yeah, really, really solid defensive hold.
Yeah, about as good as it could have gone. Just Omni did a great job just separating the gamers who came in from shutting down any other gamers who wanted to come in through that gate. So with the separation, it was very easy for the rest of the team just to clean up the demo and the soldier who had come in. They wanted to get some damage out, but the only frag they ended up getting was Kowski. He's back up, so he can continue to snipe. There's not too much pressure at the moment. A few players actually on car, and we're actually seeing Maz go in for a wide peak as well. But it doesn't matter because it seems Liquid just walks in and frags the medic.
And Liquid really showing, hey, I can do an Omni too. Goes in there, gets a lot of frags onto the team. That's JD going down again, so that's going to be a really good opportunity now for the cart to be pushed forwards. All the players pulling out, Shy picking up a frag onto Ole with the Eureka effect. It's a painful moment for him, but the cart still gets capped, and Shaky still has full Uber advantage, so good situation.
Beautiful situation from Dub, and that was just Shy absolutely styling on them, running in through the gate, jumping through the window, catching out everyone, dropping down, killing the demo at the tail end of it. Big 2k for the engineer to continue to open things up. Uber coming through the office, but Omni's in a decent position to try and just puff it back into that building, but they're giving up a lot of space here. Raze and Nerf in nice position to fight, but actually the red team can just hold the high ground position, shut down the carts, and everyone stuck here in the office area can't do too much. But with the heal advantage that they do have with Shaky, who's just about alive despite Lev going in for a desperate play onto him, and now we're actually seeing Omni commit as well, just everyone feeding in to try and get that medic pick. They won't get it. It will mean that Dub take this third cap and still retain a big Uber advantage.
And that's only 3 minutes down for taking the 3 caps. That's a really good time for making the dub. Definitely better than the first time they were pushing this one. So that's giving them a good chance setting up for this fourth. They've already gotten actually so forward here. Dem Man already down, spamming them out of fourth. And this is just a last hold now for Musos. And that's not looking too good. 3 minutes for the first 3 points. Quick roll through fourth, and now you're holding last. I mean, there could be better holds for sure, but again, this last can be held for a very long time if they need to do it.
Yeah, completely lock out of fourth, and we can see they're double aware of how passive Musos are on last, and they're already taking their gamers through into the lobby area, just getting everyone in position. Kowski picks up a frag onto Maz. By the moment there's a spam war coming in, Ray's trying to spam everyone down through those windows, getting some damage down onto the sentry gun. It goes very, very low. Will eventually get healed up a little bit, but so much space at the moment for Dub, and you know, they're setting a pretty fast pace at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sentry gun being taken down now, that's disastrous. Uber has come through. Omni doing a great job, completely denying it. Demo being absolutely floated here. Does look like he's going to manage to get out with the medic. Look at Alchemy coming in onto JD, gets him so low. He does manage to survive though with, 20 HP, so pretty decent enough amount, and that push has been completely decimated. Aniru though, pushing the cart so close, almost got it over just by himself. Quickly being found by Sparkle and being shut down.
Yeah, that's the downside of how passive Musos are holding. Basically didn't lose any gamers, but while they were waiting for the side of Dub to get forward going, the cart just kept moving, and they continue to pressure onto the cart here from Dub. They're just committing everyone forward, having to see players dropping down on the red side. There's a Fist of Steel Heavy. Adiru's going to get onto the cart, comes very, very close, gets fisted by the Heavy of Typo. He gets cleaned up, but now so many players can flood on. Fist of Steel Heavy's having to get buffed, jumping on top of the cart. Doesn't want to fall into the pit, which could potentially happen. Sheep is going to jump on it as well, no one in position to block, so they will cap it, just flooding players again and again onto the cart, get the cap in, and it's a fast time of 5:28.
5:28 is a good time. I mean, that's the time that Immaculate Dub is definitely going to be happy holding. I mean, not just because the last time they held, they managed a full hold second. I mean, for 5 minutes 28, especially on this map, given how many points you can get stuck on, is definitely a situation that, they're going to be very favourable for them. Musos has the ability to push this through. I mean, we saw them last time that they had a pretty decent push. They managed to turn a lot of situations into something good from something that wasn't existent at all. So they're not completely out of the running yet, but 5 minutes 28 is a not too intimidating of a time. Not as intimidating as 3 minutes and 24 seconds for sure, but definitely not the time that you'd want to push on this map given the team's performances so far.
Yeah, it means they can't really get stuck on any point. The second hold, which was so big for Immaculate Dub in the previous round, Musos are going to have to break that this time. They're going to have to find something. I mean, the very first sack wave actually worked for them on Musos, but, just off the back of that bad Uber not working for them, they could just fully demoralise them. They just have to get their head in the game, making sure they're making the same kind of sack wave, trying to rinse and repeat, do what worked for them, and then just nailing the advantage push that they can get off the back of it.
Zach's already gotten behind, did get picked up really quickly though, so not too much of a threat there. Lizard Wizard picking up Rohan, winning the Battle of the Soldiers. So far, Immaculate Dub doing a good job of just keeping those sort of forward players getting things done. Sparkle on the cart, Kowski being taken down. That's actually going to leave a really slow cart cap here, because just one engineer by himself, Lev getting picked up earlier. They finally forced him out of tunnel though, so finally Immaculate Dub's being pulled back to second. Going to give a bit more of opportunity to push this cart through quickly. But so far, decent time being taken off the clock, and level 3 sentry gun already set up, and the players already waiting in apartments.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of not committing enough players to cart. I think you always want the 3x on cart if it's not going to be contested too hard, just a sniper watching it and a spy. And players wanted to go forward, get something going, but they ended up just not getting any frags in the tunnel area. They have picked up Nerf, which is a decent little frag, allows a lot more space. Potentially, coming in at the tail end of this Uber trade as well, having that extra body, extra HP sponge off the Heavy could prove pivotal.
Absolutely, and right now we're just seeing a little bit of waiting, a little bit of spamming, Andrew does manage to take out the sentry gun, but that's just a mini sentry gun. The flog has been popped by Omni, and the Uber as well gets through, gets Liquid Alchemy. Ryan being cleaned up by Lizard as well. Nerf going down to Omni as well. It's been a really successful Uber. However, Immaculate Dub struck back, picked up a lot of frags for themselves. It looks like it's going the way of Omni.
Oh, the Legislator continues to go. He jumps in behind. Shaky, who spent all of his Uber actually Ubering the spy, Zach. A disaster here for the side of Dub. Exactly what Musos needed. Omni coming in clutch with a big flog play and cleaning up Shaky at the end of it. JD's not got the hugest Uber advantage, but actually an attempt here of Anti-Ru and Rohan to make something happen. Anti-Ru styling on them, picks up Lev as well, just getting frag after frag after frag. Second cap does come in, and JD still has an Uber advantage, although he isn't building anywhere near optimally, and it's going to be a lot closer to even than they would have wanted.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with those couple of players down from the side of Immaculate Dub. That could have been a big opportunity for Musos to push this through a lot faster than they have been, but it doesn't look like they're going to do it. Typer getting taken down is going to blunt the push even further. Doesn't really look like they're going to be able to push this through quickly at all. 2 minutes 40 left, so they want to be able to get this through decently quickly. Lev getting some pressure on Card, gets taken down by... No, he doesn't actually, manages gets out. But a lot of players going down on the side of Musos, sorry. Just including JD. Was that before the Uber?
Yeah, just before we came up to Uber, he was trying to back out from the office area, but Rohan came in with a big flank, finds him. So going to be no Uber now for the side of Musos. Dub still have their Uber. They've built it up well, and we just 2 minutes left now. Such a fast time on that offense has really put Musos in a difficult position here. They have to push very, very soon. They've got 3 points left to cap. They've got to deal with this Uber that Dub have built up themselves, and the clock very, very much against them.
Yeah, 1 minute 40 left. This is when it starts getting painful because you've only really had one push blunted so far, but Musos has taken just quite a long time to get through these. Even if they manage to crack it in one push, things just aren't as optimal as they could be timing-wise. They have managed to force Immaculate Dub to pull out of this though, but they managed to pull out with their medic. Big Uber advantage for JD, so if they cap this point quick enough, then they can actually roll on to fourth, maybe use their Uber advantage to push on to last, which still keeps them in the running for this, because they have a little bit over a minute to cap this win this map.
Yeah, they need to move in. They actually used the Uber straight in, just about saving late. He gets forward, gets a lot of damage onto Nerf, but he'll get out of there with the Fist of Steel. Soldier Bomb coming in from Lizard, Wizard going in towards the backlines, but picked up with a nice pipe from Raze. The cart is still miles back with less than a minute to play. Andy Root coming in, jumping in, providing distraction as Raze pressures forward, gets a lot of damage down onto cart. Just a heavy, everyone is cleaned up on the cart. The cart is stalled, 40 seconds left. Uber coming close to Shaky as well. I think this is just about the end.
Yeah, 30 seconds left. They use that Uber a bit too quick. Now they have Uber disadvantage. Shaky has the full Uber, and they're going forward to use this aggressively. Another sort of almost BM Uber out of them, just using it so aggressively to prevent those players from getting anywhere close to the cart. And 20 seconds left, not going to be overtime at this stage, 3 seconds left. However, there is a bit of a regrouping from Musos, maybe a chance for them, but the GGs have already been dropped in chat. Doesn't really look like they're planning on getting this through, and I don't even think they have time to get it onto last.
Well, they're currently getting spawned up by Raze, who's up to 12 kill streak, just dominating the server right now. A little bit quiet perhaps at earlier stages of the game, but pulls it out when he absolutely needs to. And there we go, Immaculate Dub are your Season 10 champions.
Yeah, really good play from Immaculate Dub, just really showing their experience in the game and just how well they could really play this one. Managing with that blistering fast round on Borneo and even that second point full hold on Swiftwater to really sort of showcase their dominance. And was a fantastic game. Maybe it wasn't as close as it could have been, but definitely a good fight being put up by Musos. Their players definitely had the ability to sort of show up for their team and show us what they were known for in some of the previous games in the season.
Yeah, for sure. And, Musos having their moments, but Immaculate Dub just coming in clutch and really I think the team play overall from Immaculate Dub was just on a different level. We saw a lot of good individual players from the side of Musos, certainly Omni at the end, almost coming in big. But it wasn't enough just overall just great play from Immaculate Dub, and worthy winners.
Exactly, and we do actually have logs for that match now. We can finally see just how much of the damage was done. I mean, I'm very sorry to JD. I've played on teams with him before, mainly as soldier, but I got to point out 20 deaths to 8. That's definitely rough for Musos.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of drops on the first map. Just the one here. So yeah, again, JD not having a good time. I think Andy Rue actually picked him up, let's see, 6 times on that map, so it's definitely not ideal.
6 times to JD, 5 times to Rohan. Yeah, it's not a fun game.
But yeah, the big thing on these logs is just those 2 big combo players from Immaculate Dub raise the demo and nerf the heavy 44 and 41 frags. Just complete real combo dominance coming in from the side of Immaculate Dub and showing, how much superior. We talked about their flank perhaps being the big carries in previous rounds and through the regular season, but the combo really came in clutch here on this map.
Absolutely, really good showing from them. Just quite not enough from the other team. But even though, we spend a lot of time on stream hyping up just how many frags Andy Rue's doing, just how much impact he's having on the game, Zach actually outfrayed him on their map, getting 35 to Andy Rue's 30. So still doing a really good job, putting up a good fight for them. As well, Kalski getting 40 kills on the sniper compared to Maz's 34. So, Musos has the players, they've got the skill, they do get the frags, just not quite enough to convert things and enough for them to win the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've heard enough of us talking about these logs now. You want to hear some of the players, so we're just going to drag them in here. We are going to have interviews.
There we go.
Yeah, so starting off with the side of Immaculate Dub, how did you guys feel it went for you?
Thank you very much.
All right.
We've got some technical difficulties here. I think Rowan wants to join, but he's saying there's a password, so yeah, I'll just cover for him for now.
Okay, so we'll start off with Borneo. Pretty dominant performance by Immaculate Dub. Did you just feel it was your kind of best map? It was the map you were most confident on?
Yeah, we really took out the pieces of shit last season on Borneo, so we were really confident on Borneo. Sorry, long history. That's all I'll say. Yeah, PC version. We were very confident on Borneo. And yeah, I think Musos kind of outpicked us because we thought they were going to pick product. We didn't think they'd triple payload. So yeah.
And yeah, for your side, Musos, was it a case of you just wanted to take it away from the Koth maps?
Pretty much, I think. We haven't actually won a Koth, scrim/official in the last 3 to 4 weeks, maybe even more.
Yeah,
against the Trinkets and Rascals, at least.
Yeah. I really wanted to play product for the finals because product's a really fun map, but yeah, we just felt it was more smart just to do payload probably.
And was Borneo kind of a strong map for you earlier on, or was it a map that you just felt we'd throw this away and we'll take it in the next 2 maps if we have to?
We did pretty well actually in the start of the season with Borneo, but we just hadn't really done it after probably mid-season. We stopped playing it for a long time, so yeah, I think that's probably.
Pretty much, at the start we were actually really good on it, but our team just didn't want to keep playing it, so it is what it is.
It is what it is, indeed. One thing that I do have to ask for Musos, I guess, on these maps, because like you said, there were no Koth maps through. Koth maps are a fun one, everyone likes playing them. Did you feel like you're as well practiced on the payload maps as the Koth maps? Did you sort of feel like you knew your strategies for that one, or were you more thinking that you just let your players do what they do,
I think we're probably definitely a better payload team. I mentioned before, our Koths just haven't been good recently. Mainly target prioritization's kind of been awful on those maps and who to focus, and now everyone's just out of sync on those maps. At least on payload, we have a common goal and we know the area we want to fight. That's probably why we like it a bit more.
All right, and question I have now for Immaculate Dub. I just gotta ask. At the end of that 3-minute 24 round, like, what were you guys talking about? What were you feeling? Was that just, we'll win the next round automatically, or were you even expecting that to happen? Were you guys planned for that, or did it just sort of fall into your laps?
We kind of stole some strats from them. I think on the first round of Borneo, they did a really good Uber on like tracks of second to get into our house. So we copied that, and well, apart from that, I think it's we're just a bit well practiced. Like I think Maz reinforces that like when you're transitioning, the med and the NG are like really crucial picks, and I think every time on Borneo when we're pushing, for every point we got either the NG or the med. And yeah, we just followed Rays really well. Like the man is just like a standard demo man. He only knows W on his keyboard. So yeah, that really just helped us steamroll it in, I think.
And yeah, moving on to the Swiftwater. For your side, Musos, it really felt, you had a good first round, you came out and clutched it, but then started to all fall apart, and it was certainly a case of just Andy Rue coming in big, getting a lot of frags, particularly onto JD. Was that a tilt factor, or was it just the case that Andy Rue's too good?
I don't think it was a tilt factor. It was just, I think we did mention actually, like, we should probably protect JD a bit more, but yeah, Andy Rue's just a demon, so.
I don't really know what was going on too much because both of us were kind of on the flank for most of that. I think a lot of it was just kind of post fights and just not expecting it. I feel like if we were a bit more aware, like spy aware of it, it would have been a bit better. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it is what it is. So Rowan's here. Hell yeah.
Yo. Oh, you got moved waiting. Oh,
there you go. Hey.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Oh, he's just sick.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a bit quiet.
Wonderful.
yeah, he's not happy I whipped him at the end.
Yeah.
Big
Well,
because she's wrong.
Let's hope Rohan will get his mumble in order, be able to provide some insight to us. But while we're waiting for Rohan, talk about perhaps next season then. Both of you guys going to continue to play forward with the same kind of teams?
Well, I don't know. We kind of bait really hard. I know Sky and Maz, like they run our team. They said they weren't gonna run it after we won, and then I don't know, they 180'd. So who knows? I think that probably is like something that works. Maybe like a few players that got swapped out, but yeah, I can't really give you a definite answer for now.
Okay. And side of Musos, do you have plans, or is it all too soon?
I'm just chilling. I think me and Liz are pretty TF2 4 right now. We just want to take a little break. So it's pretty good. But yeah, I'll play. If something comes up, I'll play. But I'm just relaxing. To be honest, I'm not really gonna worry about it too much.
And
Is my mic better?
Yeah.
Oh, it's working now.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much, everybody. Good to be back.
I've got to ask, this might be a rude question, but how opposed are you to being called Butters?
I have no problem with it because that was my old alias, wasn't it? I'm surprised you remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
You remember Lystro?
Yeah, I remember.
Completely different now. I mean, you've been now the MVP of at least one map for, how many seasons now?
Every
You've been
season.
really dominating, so
Yeah.
I guess it's just another title under your belt for this grand finals.
It's pretty fun. I do enjoy actually winning for a change.
I'm sorry.
Good change.
I'm just saying.
Oh, he's gone again.
Oh, there we go. All right.
So yeah, we want to perhaps move towards wrapping things up. But is there any kind of player from the opposing team that really stood out as a big performance, a big thorn in your side? Then starting off with Musos.
I would say I thought they're all big hitters anyway. So I thought just especially like Nerf and Rays and Andy, especially Andy. Yeah, it was kind of with him like doing all the kills on JD and stuff, and just like all of them are really great. So yeah, I think they're all just equally good.
And for you, Shaky, anyone that really stood out for Musos as performing particularly high level today?
Oh, I'll give the speaking stick to Rowan.
Let's have a think here. I think everyone on the team played really well. I think overall, their performance this season was absolutely amazing, especially seeing as they were able to beat Rascals. As for individual players, I feel like all of them played really, really well. Yeah, no individuals. Everyone played their part, played it really, really well. I mean, Lizard Wizard with the cow mangler. That was kind of.
Oh, that's such a good remark. Yeah, actually, I reckon
that was a bit stupid.
Yeah, Lizard and
annoying.
Zach were really good. That like especially on Swift, they always like got up like that. Lizard always got picks onto our gun with like the charge shot, and then Zach always got Maz. It was like really hard to play against. So
yeah, like if I like disable the gun, Zach can just two-shot it with Enforcer across the map, and you guys can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, true.
Also, like I found like the only way that I kept enjoying Highlander if I just use Cal Mangler every time. I just keep charge shotting people. Yeah. That was my only motto this match.
Yeah, you get infinite ammo. It's like pretty good.
Yeah, just beast mode it.
Yeah, I mean, this is all a little bit wholesome. I was expecting a lot more kind of trash talk coming out of you Aussie guys.
I mean, we could if you want.
Plus your
I was happy to verse Maz in the finals. I think that was my biggest like one thing I was wanting the most is versing him in finals.
You did pretty well, Kowski.
Thank you.
For a blonde.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay, buddy.
All right, so we'll start with some shout-outs there here. So starting off with you, Kowski, who do you want to shout out?
I'll shout out my real-life friends who are watching this, I think. And obviously the team. I'm surprised we made it this far, to be honest, because we only made the team this season. But really good performance, I think. Yeah, that's about it.
Lizard Wizard.
I haven't thought about this. Probably Brain Pain, Luna, Silver. Yeah, that's it. Not Omni. I hate that guy.
Wow.
Rohan.
I mean, shout out to our team for winning again. How many times have we won? This is our second one, isn't
Twice.
I think it's second, yeah.
Oh, second, really? Damn.
Yeah, not good enough yet.
No, shout out to everyone. Shout out to the other team. You guys played extremely well this season. I think you guys should be very happy with that. Shout out to Rascals as well. I know they, had a really good season and they just got unlucky near the end. But there's always next season, I guess. Also shout out to Sky and Dip for organizing scrims, and then yeah, that's about it. I think everyone played really well. Shout out to Daz, and yeah.
Okay, Shaky.
Shout out to Sheep, Rowan, Liquid, Raze, Nerf, Shy, Andy, and then special shout out to Maz for running the team. He always does a really good job. And shout out to production. Thanks for covering. And last shout out, Liquid said to shout out ATEC. And that's all I have.
Okay, then up to you, Luggnuts.
I'll just give a shout out to the boys, the intellectual powerhouses. Don't know if any of them are watching, but there we go. And shout out to Critscast for not just covering this game, but covering all of, Australian Highlander and Sixes this season. Bring a lot of eyes to the region, a lot of eyes that weren't usually here. Great to have them, and for having me on the cast, as well as Dave and Wiethoofd for being on with me.
Okay, well, I'm just going to shout out Sensation, and yeah, So if you want to support Critscast, you can do so, obviously following the channel here on Twitch. There's also this is Critscast 2, obviously there's the main Critscast channel as well that you definitely want to follow. You can sub as well here for free with Prime. There is also the YouTube to check out. All the VODs go up on there after a week or so. There's Patreon as well as merch. So, a lot of different ways to support the channel. Just provide a little bit of support to casters and the production guys behind the scenes as well. This has been the Season 10 Respawn League Grand Final. We saw Immaculate Dub take it away, providing themselves an Immaculate Dub, winning here tonight. This has been Gritscast. I've been Dave, joined by Luggnuts and Wiethoofd. Good night.
Hi, old beaver! Away!